What up, YouTube? Today's video, we're going to be taking you through a transformation from this rusty old piece of junk into a racing machine. It's going to do burnouts, it's going to do VMAX, it's going to be awesome. So come along for the ride. Let's get into it. Hey guys, one of the things that catch people out with old go-karts is the fuel line pickup. These things go hard and they perish. And sometimes you can go out the gate and this can just fall off.
Stop it. Get some help.
And then you're not going to get any fuel supply at all. So if you do get an old kart, take all these out, they stink, the fuel goes off. Give this a little bit of a washout and put some new fuel line on. Now that you've got your fuel line on the fuel pickup, just put that down and to get the length, because basically you want to have the fuel line just long enough with the fuel weight on there that it can swing across the tank. So when you're going around the corners, it follows the fuel. That's the beauty of this little guy. Hold the pickup at the top of the tank, go down roughly to just here, hold it with your fingers, cut it with the sides, open her up with the circlip pliers, reinstall your fuel pickup, and then you can insert that whole assembly down into your tank. So before we go any further, we're going to give the kart a bit of a once-over with some WD-40. It's a great cleaning product because it's a lubricant, so you put it down on the frame and it's going to make all that steel come back to its brand new shiny self. So guys, if you've got a little bit of rust building up on the chrome, a little bit of auto sol polish, metal polish, and some Scotch-Brite, and you can work that in and this stuff will come up like brand new. So now we're just going to go over all the chrome parts on the kart and give them a bit of a shine up. So the last thing we're going to clean up here today is going to be the axle. We're using a bit of 80 grit sandpaper, emery paper, and I'm just going to go along seesaw action and polish all the rust out. Why work harder when you can work smarter, boys and girls? If you've got a flat disc and a battery drill, you can stick it inside the end of the axle, downward pressure, crank the trigger, and then boom, with the help of an assistant, we're going to clean this axle up in like 2 seconds flat. So with a little bit of elbow grease and some time, bit of effort, the kart now looks amazing and I'm ready to put the next parts on it, head to the track. So other than doing mad skids and burnouts, we're turning this into a supercar. And the supercar guys tell me that the ignition timing can't be any more than 1 millimeter before top dead center, or you're gonna melt the piston. So let's pull the spark plug out, stick in the dial gauge, and I'll show you guys how to change the ignition timing. First things first, remove the spark plug. Then we can get our dial indicator, insert that down into the spark plug hole. All right, so now we've zeroed the gauge. This is where the piston's at the top of its stroke. Wind the engine backwards until these timing marks line up. And as you can see, the dial gauge is reading 1.7 millimeters. There's the 0.7, and then a full lap around the clock is a millimeter. Now the guys at the Superkarts tell me 1 millimeter is the maximum, which is right here. So we're going to set the dial gauge to a millimeter and then adjust the timing so the timing marks line up on the crankshaft. So what we're going to do now is loosen off these 3 screws and then just adjust the ignition timing for a bit of retard. So at the minute it's a bit too far advanced. And as we move the stator, if we move it in the direction that the engine rotates, we're actually retarding the timing. We want to go maximum 1 millimeter, so we're just going to go the other side of the line. Now it does move around a bit when you do up the bolts, so just be careful of that. Just nip them up a bit. And we should be good to go. All right guys, so now that we've got the engine in its final resting position, what we're going to be doing is setting up the chain and the sprocket for that top end speed, running out all the hoses for the water system. We've got the gear linkage, the clutch cable, all those things have got to be set up, slam it on a micron, and then we're ready to chuck some wheelies and hit the track. So let's get some. Yeah, so the kart's nearly ready to rock and roll. We've got the last few things to put on it, and then I'm going to try to start this thing. So let's go and get them done. Keep her in the guts and then go do some wheelies. Yeah, I think so.
He just contacted me out of the blue, said, hey Des, I love your channel. How about you come and do some superkarting, show everyone how easy it is, get involved, get out on the track. You know, you got some great top speeds. Car circuits are massive compared to the normal go-karting circuits we drive on. Mate, I'm fizzing, it's gonna be sick. Some of the features of the KZ go-kart, well, it's a 6-speed sequential 125 racing engine. This is an older version, a cheaper version, but definitely worth it. If you can find these secondhand, you can get out here on the track for next to nothing. Compared to the brand new package, you're looking at 20 Gs. This kart was $2 grand, it was an absolute beater. We just polished it all up, checked the engine, made sure it was all sweet, and we're going to just give it the full send.
What happened?
It's not mega hot.
Hey?
It's just mega hot.
It's hot.
Yeah.
98 degrees.
Going like 80, 90, 100. I just don't think it's going to last. I'll stop.
How'd you go?
I think the water pump belts were off.
Right. You serious?
I think. I mean, it's spinning there now. Well, I'm hoping that's all it was because they'd come off. And I saw the temperature go up to like a 80, 90, then 100 really quickly. You know, fingers crossed nothing happened to the motor. I think it was pretty cool. I just coasted back in. It was really hot, but it didn't run out of water, which is our saving grace. I'm probably going to zip tie this up a bit. Having looked at it, it's pretty close to the exhaust, so we're probably going to melt that at some stage. And then I noticed here on the exhaust, I've pop riveted them together in the carbon fiber yesterday. It was apart, and I thought it'd be sweet, but it looks like the stinger's about to fly apart, which is a bit of a shame. Gonna have to come up with something for that before we hit the track again. For the 80s and 90s fans out there, MacGyver was a big show when we were kids. Love that guy, and he's taught me everything I know. So we're just gonna use some of MacGyver skills here today to sort of dodgily fix this exhaust up. I've found this in the truck. I'm just gonna slap that on there. I think we'll, if I can get this bolt down in that bracket, I'm just literally going to use it as a wedge, and hopefully it just holds that in, and yeah, we'll just give it a go. Literally totally making this up as I go.
Love it.
I've got no idea it's going to work. So we've got some major jetting issues. It's very, very rich on, once you get off throttle for the corners to slow down, then you go to get back on it, and the engine just splutters and carries on. And it's a classic of just either too much fuel in the bowl, which can't really change that easy, main jet, and the needle. So I've changed the needle a little bit. I'm going to go down a little bit on the main jet, give it another hit, new spark plug, and yeah, sender, the cup. And then that sits down in the bowl, and it just keeps a bit of fuel right around the the jet so it doesn't lean out when you go in around corners. Always make sure that it's facing down. Sometimes guys put it like this, and the bowl will still go on, but then it just seals it up, and you can't actually, it will start to starve the motor. So they just go like that. Get them started with your fingers, because it is a pretty fine thread. Adrenaline is a funny thing. Like I just love it, man. I was so pumped because it's new. You're going fast. There's walls, there's cars, there's all sorts of crazy going on. Like whoa, yeah. So like I was saying, that turned 4, 5. So I don't know what gear. I think it's about gear 3, maybe 4. You peg it out of there and it starts lighting it up, and you just tip it in and hold it flat. And the kart just walks the whole way out to the exit ripple strip. It's unreal. It's so much fun. And like 150 nearly the whole track.
Guy Paul from Queensland Superkart Club. We're here at Queensland Raceway and we're trialling the newly acquired club kart, which is KZTM 125 shifter.
Now, did you say it's a club kart?
Yeah, so we...
Like a donor?
Well, yeah, we decided that we were trying to look at getting more people on track. And we thought, what's the easiest way? And Rotax is well represented. And Rotax obviously appears quite well in the sprint karting region. In the superkarting class, we do have 125 shifters, but you know, the supercars are generally a longer chassis. So there's a Supercar Club in every state in Australia. You get to race on the long circuit. So in southeast Queensland, for instance, we're running on Queensland Raceway, which we're here today, Lakeside and Morgan Park. It's as simple as passing a scrutineering test. So your vehicle comes in and it'll be scrutineered by a couple of the club officials who the Rotax classes have weight limits for light and heavy. So
like I'm just a new guy. I've already got a sprint kart. Bring whatever you want. Like this is a KZ kart. Guys have been seeing these before racing what we call normal go-karts.
Yep.
So we could just bring that down, or not, no questions, as long as it's in a safe working manner, we can basically get on the track.
Pretty much. I mean, there's a few things. So we need, because we're on the open circuits, we have different rules that we've got to comply to. So nylock nuts on the wheels, probably the biggest safety criteria. For the long tracks, obviously compared to sprint karting, you need to just take the timing out of it.
The ignition timing?
The ignition timing, make sure your jets are running accordingly. And so long as your base maintenance is right on the kart, it's about 2 hours to convert it. So it's change your front sprocket, change your rear sprocket. We've left the standard gearbox.
Yeah.
We're not pulling 6, we just pull 5th.
This is my first time superkarting. I've been out on this circuit before in a car, and it is, you know, it's really big. So when you first get out on the track, you kind of get lost because you don't know, like, you know, you normally put it into a corner and then you get to the apex and then you're like, oh geez, there's all this, like, this room. So you really just turn the smallest amount and just go way faster than you would on a, you know, a traditional sprint karting circuit that's shrunk right down. The top speed's pretty exhilarating. Like I was hitting 160. The braking performance is incredible, way better than what my natural reaction time is.
Yeah.
So all in all, like my superkart experience, thanks heaps to Paul for inviting me out. It was a great day. Like I had a sick time. It's super fast, super fun, and it's easy. So yeah, get on it.
Absolutely. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, legend.
Take care, mate.
Back game. All right guys, the KZ dumpster has been on the track. It lasted, we fixed it, it failed, and then finally adversity won. I've changed the carburetor as best I could. Unfortunately, we've leaned it out too far and it didn't quite make its final run of the day where Zach King got to break his KZ virginity. Unfortunately, didn't make it past turn 3. Trying to start it, but yeah, the engine's seized. So it's been an awesome day. I got here, heaps of adrenaline, I was super excited. I went out on the track, it was super massive and I was kind of all over the joint. Then finally I found a groove, did a couple of sessions, and it's awesome. And this is just a basic sprint kart KZ. Didn't do any major modifications other than the chain and sprocket we changed, and obviously we jetted it up. We did have a jetting issue all day that we chased. Unfortunately, when I fixed it, I haven't checked it enough, and yeah, it got too lean and we launched it. But hey, we'll be back out again, so stay tuned because there'll be another updated version of this where we come back to the track and we might even be able to go racing. So thanks for watching and see you in the next video.